All right, guys, thank you for all joining and welcome to the Award School Info Night. We have a lot of awesome things to talk about this evening, and we have some of the people involved in the course this year from all over Australia, and they'll each be kind of speaking to you about what to expect with the course, how to apply for the course. We'll have previous students talking about their experiences from last year, and you'll get a chance to ask them questions. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. And as we go, please feel free to use the questions there to type in anything you want, and we'll get around to answering them all by the end. But first, we'd just like to, go to this screen. Becky, you might have to drive, sorry. Okay, the video that was so nice, we had to play it twice. Welcome everyone, and welcome Mundy.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for being patient. I was having problems getting on, but hopefully that's all of the glitches. Welcome very much to tonight's session. My name is Mundy, and together with Jack, we look after Award School nationally, but also in New South Wales. So I'm the ECD at MNC Saatchi, and Jack, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Yep, I'm a creative partner here at DDB Sydney. Only just switched agency over here a couple of weeks ago, so I'm a bit of a rookie here at the moment, but I'm just super excited about what we've got in store this year at Award School.
And I think we've got Chris as well with us. Chris, have you said hi yet?
Hi guys, that's just a little pause for effect there. Thanks, Mandy. Yeah, guys, so welcome. My name's Chris. I sort of spent my advertising career at TBWA, CHE Proximity, Cummins, and this year I've joined the Monkeys. My background's as a copywriter, but I'm also in a band, so I play both kinds of keyboards, one a bit better than the other.
And Jess, I see you there as well.
Hey guys, I'm Jess. So I'm Associate Creative Director and a partner at Fenton Stevens, but my background is also as a copywriter.
Yeah, Jess is being modest there. He actually had a piece of work accepted into the Melbourne Museum yesterday. So well done, Jess.
Oh, Jess, that's excellent.
Artiste. I'm a legitimate artiste now.
Oh, that's so good. So guys, thank you very much for joining us. This is the first step into something awesome. I think the purpose of today is just to give you a bit of an idea of what to expect from award school, how to really nail it when you do your application. I'd like you guys to maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself. So I think, Beck, you're going to start a poll for us, and we're going to just ask how many of you currently work in advertising or marketing. So just click yes or no, and then we get a little bit of a read of the room. Sorry that we can't be with all of you guys in person. Cool. So no one works. Oh, yay. Okay.
Right.
Are you trying to get into a creative department is going to be our next question.
Drum roll, maybe?
Is there a lifeline?
Chris, is your keyboard nearby?
No, my keytar is not nearby, Jess.
Okay, this is good. Almost all of you are trying to get into a creative department. I'm interested in the 18% that isn't. Like, why are you here? Is it just because you're listening, or is it because you're part of our industry? We'll never know. And then, are you trying to improve as an entrepreneur?
This might be that 18%. It's time.
Maybe. Jack, this is how we'll see if the advertising has been working.
Yeah.
It's the moment of truth.
Wow.
Oh, okay. More
So
than I thought. That's good.
Wow.
So no matter why you're thinking about doing this course, you'll get something out of it, because this course is all about thinking. And it's really my pleasure to introduce Cam Blackley, the CCO at MNC Saatchi and chair of Award School. I think he's one of the sharpest thinkers out there. I don't say this just because you're my boss, Cam. It's because I truthfully believe it. So over to Cam Blackley telling it like it is.
Oh, telling it like it is. Thanks. I was during that video, I was praying it didn't start for a third time. I was thinking after a year of sitting on Zoom calls, we still haven't mastered them yet. But anyway, I wanted to say a few words. I don't need to introduce myself because Mundy's done that. I have written a few words up here. You'll see them reflected in my glasses, so I can't bullshit you there. So I will be reading a little bit of it. But listen, I know that there was 660 registered tonight, and it's really, I love seeing so many people, interested in entering the industry that I love so much. And, it's been my career for 25 years, or looking to make that move sideways to the dark side, the creative department. There's many pathways into an agency, and there's many ways that, that you can end up, coming up with the kind of ideas that inspire people, that transform brands, that create change and stick in the minds of millions. But have no doubt, I've been working with Award now for many years and chairman for a few years. This course is the fast track to it. And you can see the evidence of that from, the fact that Award has unearthed dozens of global creative leaders. It's uncovered visionaries like David Droga through the pressure cooker environment that gives students as close as experience, I guess, as to the blood, sweat and tears that we go through every day on every single brief. So you really do get up close and personal with it. It has stood the test of time as a course that finds, breeds and weeds out the best from the rest. So I'm just thrilled that you're all sort of interested in giving it a crack. And there's a little bit of comfort I wanted to sort of throw in here as well for those that make it to the end of the course, which is generally the majority, but life gets in the way sometimes. But I have hired the national winner before from Award School, and that's quite easy to do because they've got the spotlight on the top 10 and then the top 3 and the top 1. But I've also hired the guy that's come 47th in New South Wales before. And just because I saw something in his work and in his thinking, and he also wrote me like a letter which was sheer brilliance, and I had to find a way to hire him, and I put him in the creative department, and I said, we will find a way to pay you. And he was quite happy to sit there until we made that happen. And now he's got it, he's working in London off the back of doing some great work for Audi Supermarket and for Sportsbet over here. So, don't get too disheartened, I guess, where you come, but, I guess the truth of the business is that the people that never give up are the ones that make it. The people who take a knockback as a challenge and, really bounce back are the ones that go further. And what we're looking for is the people that ying where everyone else yangs, because they're the ones that stand out. And I think you should think about that when we're coming up with work. And I guess my final sort of parting, words before I've got to go pick up my son from basketball training is, yes, do strive to win an award, but you've got to stay true to your convictions and stay true to your tone of voice. You've got to keep your thinking as simple as possible, and don't lose heart if you miss a spot on that roll call at the end of the course. There'll be a seat for you somewhere if you really want it badly enough. Finally, you're in great hands with Mundy and Jack. I work with Mundy every single day. I sort of consider her my boss rather than the other way around, but they're really great, and they've hand selected some absolutely brilliant mentors this year. So good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, Cam. Go get Gussie.
I will.
We're also really lucky with the course to have a great sponsor this year in Facebook, and they're a really, really great partner to have. And Liz has kindly recorded some words, so we might play that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Harper, and I'm a long-time creative agency diehard who's been with Facebook as a creative agency partner here in Australia for about 3 years. At Facebook ANZ, we believe that the best ideas haven't been done yet. So it makes sense that for the 4th year, Facebook is a proud sponsor of Award School and a partner of Advertising Council Australia. The future of the creative industry in Australia depends on programs like Award and on aspiring creatives like yourselves. So welcome. Now, when I was getting ready to graduate uni eons ago, I had a very fortunate choice to make in that I had 2 job offers. I had studied strategic communication, or advertising it was formerly known as, through my uni's renowned journalism school, and I decided to pick up a commerce degree with a focus in marketing. Now, one of the offers was in sales for a well-known consumer packaged goods company. It paid well. $45K a year was so much money to me back then. It came with 3 weeks holiday, which was above average for the US, was based in Minneapolis, where I knew a few people, and came with a company car. It was safe, likely stable, and seemed like a really easy on-ramp to the professional world. My other offer was with a then little-known creative agency based in Miami. The money was a good third less. The paid holiday was 2 weeks. It meant moving to hot and humid Miami, a place I had never been, and which, by the way, is the cultural opposite of Portland, Oregon, where I grew up. And instead of company car, it was known for very long hours and weekend work. So it was unknown, it seemed a bit illogical, and it was really far away from family and friends. But you can probably guess what I did. I took the leap. I took the agency job. I moved across the country to the farthest place possible away from my parents to join Crispin, Porter, and Boguski. 2 years later, I moved to Colorado to help open the office in Boulder. 2 years later, I was seconded to London to work on the global Microsoft Windows business. Needless to say, that choice, it changed my life and my path. And one choice can do that. And maybe this is your choice. So good luck tonight. Be open, ask questions, and I hope to see you soon in this journey that is Award School.
Mundy, the question we all are asking and thinking is, okay, cool, but what exactly is Award School?
I feel like I'm going to handball this one to Chris and Jess, because I tend to speak just way too much, so someone else should be doing some of the speaking.
All right. So what is Award School? You guys might have done a bit of research. You might be coming into this fresh, but Award School is a series of feats of strength, each more challenging and deadly than the last, and only one of you will survive. You'll soon realize I'm only half joking. Award School, it's a 12-week part-time evening course, and effectively it's all about ideas. And it's been mentioned before, but it really is a rite of passage into a creative department, and it has been since 1983, which is quite a run. I don't know exactly the figure, but I think it's something like 70% of Australian creatives have done Award School, including many of the top creatives. Case in point, I've done it, Chris hasn't, but Chris was actually my Award School tutor, so that's a bit of a paradox. The course is taught by professionals in the industry. Everyone volunteers their time. It really is one of the beautiful parts about the advertising industry, just how willing the senior figures are to help out the up and comers and the people trying to break in. I certainly wouldn't be where I am without the kind of mentorship that you get through award school. And those of you who are lucky enough to get in will receive the same. If you're wondering what award is part of the Advertising Council of Australia, who's the peak non-profit body. They represent agencies in the marketing and communications industry to the government, the industry, media, and the public. And for the next slide, I'll pass you over to Chris.
Thanks, Jess. So, good ideas and bad ideas. Now, everyone can come up with ideas. Now, your mum's going to tell you that all of your ideas are fantastic, but in award school, and that's actually not very helpful. So, and it's completely untrue. So, in award school, you'll receive unbiased, constructive, and pretty brutal feedback sometimes from some of the most experienced professionals in the industry. And you'll soon come to realise that most ideas suck. And good ideas take a lot of time and effort and tears and agony. But that's really why they're so exciting when you have them. Now, you may think or know you're creative, but you may not now know how to focus that energy. And if you get in, you're going to have 60 people working on exactly the same brief. So the bullseye is actually quite small for what constitutes an original idea. So it's a really important skill to learn. You also learn not to be so precious with your ideas and to let things go or kill your babies, as we often say. And you just got to keep dusting yourself off and forging ahead. Award school's really about learning the ingredients of what makes a good idea. And in a sentence, that's really just a simple human truth, really well told. And to sort of circle back to something Cam Blackley said before, I think those who get in and ultimately do well in award school are those who want it badly enough. And something we usually say is perspiration beats inspiration. So it'll trademark attached to that if you want to use it. And I'll hand you back to Jess.
Thanks, Chris. So, geez, we're just jumping around all over the place, aren't we here? How long have we been on Zoom? We still haven't figured it out. The other thing is, look, beyond, it is an advertising course. It was born out of advertising, but as advertising itself and the advertising industry has evolved, so has award school and what you can potentially get out of it. So being able to come up with, ideas in both quality and quantity can lead you into all kinds of different careers inside and outside of the advertising industry. So they aren't just limited to one pursuit. There's a writer, former copywriter and a poet, Darby Hudson, who once said to me that the only reason he got into advertising was so that he could then write a book about how to get out of advertising. I always found it's a very funny and profound statement because it carries an element of truth, because there's a lot of examples of award school graduates going on to have fantastic careers inside and outside of the industry, or both, going through award school, getting into advertising, learning a craft and then going out and taking it somewhere else. So there's a stat that I think millennials and Gen Zers are expected to have, 5 different careers in their lifetime. And the imagination and creativity sector will be one of the big ones left once we reach the singularity and are enslaved by robots, because thus far no robot has been able to come up with a decent web banner yet. But in short, this is a course that can help you no matter what job stream you end up getting into if you don't end up following into advertising.
And that is because creativity solves everything. So more and more of what we're being asked to do in the industry can be described as problem solving rather than just coming up with ads. And we've got all the data and analytics and research and spreadsheets and, as Jess was saying, artificial intelligence in the world, but it's still not going to come up with something like a freak that can survive a car crash named Graham. And given that creativity is actually one of the top search terms on LinkedIn, it's saying that it's in very high demand at the moment. So creativity is the what if, the could we, and imagine this. The world really needs to break out of the status quo. And I'm not sure if you've seen the world lately, but there's some pretty big problems that we need to solve. So there's been some developments with the course this year that really make it more relevant than ever. And we're going to hear from Mandy and Jack and talk about the value of commercial creativity.
Cool. So what does 2021 look like, Jack? I mean, there was like a whole bunch of learnings from last year, but we've also incorporated some new things. So what's new?
First things is, there's suspense building here for the next slide, a week 0, which is a new addition to the course, which actually we'll go through the kind of 101s of ideas, insights. You'll hear from some of the top creatives to actually kind of give you some practical advice on how to come up with ideas and creativity and creative thinking before you actually even get the first brief. So I think that will be a great kind of way to get into it all.
Beck, can you go to commercial creativity slide, please?
And
Cool.
this is another initiative that we've got new this year, and I think it is going to be one of the most exciting parts of the course. This is a brand new brief right at the end, in the final week, where we're actually going to ask you guys to take everything you've learned about commercial creativity, about problem solving, about insights and ideas, and to apply it to a new business venture, to a new product, to an idea, to something that actually could be bigger than just an ad in itself. And it will actually be run as a sort of Shark Tank style thing. So we're going to be doing that along with some top partners from different creative industries who have actually come up with sort of these billion-dollar ideas in the startup world, and they'll be helping us with that. So watch this space.
We're hugely excited about that, because I mean, I just think that there's so many cool creatives, like Jess, was saying, like you get into it, but then you go out of it, but then you come back into it. So we've got some very exciting speakers lined up. It is still a 12-week course. You will answer 10 different briefs to cover off different types of media. Now, I imagine most of you guys know what media is, but like in case you don't, you'll start with something like an out-of-home or a billboard, and you'll work yourself way through even into integrated campaign, and then end with your commercial creativity brief. And something that I think is really special about award school is you leave with a portfolio at the end. So part of how we judge it is you submit your portfolio, but that's then also your book that you go around and show to people like Cam. We've also included a theory and practical lecture. Monday lectures are going to be theory based, and Tuesdays will be practical based. So we get a lot of questions, and we've gotten this question quite a few times of like, how do I actually brainstorm? How do I actually physically come up with an ad? Which is why we've added in a practical lesson to help you. And your theory lesson is going to be just to help you understand what's best practice in the medium, but also for your brief specifically. Jack, that has led us to a wonderful addition now that we've got two lectures and the content that the guys will be viewing, which is exposure.
Yes. So this year we're going to actually be having kind of a national program a lot throughout the course, where in some past years it's been run sort of different states with different lectures and things going on, but this will be a truly national version of the course, meaning there's, we're cherry picking the best creatives and industry leaders from around the country, and you guys have got access to basically the inside contents of their minds and brains, and it's actually going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah. You'll also get the opportunity to watch, pause, rewind, and repeat, because you've got all of this content and you can learn so much from so many of these great thinkers. So for your convenience, 80% of these lectures are going to be delivered via video, but you will get in, and depending on the state in which you do it, you'll get about 3 in-person lectures where we come together during the course, and we just get to chat and meet and network a little bit. We will also be recording those moments, so don't worry if you can't make it, you won't be missing out. Then in real life tutorials or online, Thursday night tutorials are held in agencies in groups of 5 to 6 students with teams of senior creatives. And I think that that's really a privilege, because you don't only get to go into an agency, but you end up making a meeting, a network. But that's also the place where you weekly get to chat about the creative brief, present your ideas, and get feedback and direction. The online program works exactly the same. You get access to those tutors, but it's just essentially held through a Google or a Zoom Hangout, as we do right now. It's a side effect of COVID that we figured out how to run this course in real life or online. So regardless of what happens, we've got a plan for you guys. But COVID wasn't all bad, was it, Jack?
No, it actually spawned some pretty incredible new initiatives. One was Legendary Lessons. And this was towards the end of the course, we actually arranged for not just the best industry talent in Australia, but we went global with it, and got in some legends from America and from Asia, and got them to actually come and sit in on a tutorial with each tutor group and critique different pieces of work, give advice, give pointers. And it was actually just, a bit of a pinch yourself moment when it's like, how else would you be able to get this absolute legend like Jeff Goodby type person to come in and be looking at your print ad or radio ad that you've written? So it was pretty cool. We also stole a great idea from Reddit and are doing kind of Ask Us Anythings. And so a couple of times throughout the year, there'll be an online session similar to this where you can anonymously ask us anything you want about the course, the industry. It's a great way to be able to kind of, get understandings of things like, jobs and salaries and how to go about that kind of thing. And just any topic that is hard to do in person is pretty good to do online. And finally, the digital wall, which is this awesome resource that at the end of the course, you guys will see, where we actually get every single student and we can put it up on a website, and the top 10 and any work that makes it onto the wall will be featured there. And it's an amazing way that we can actually get your work in front of all the top headhunters, recruiters, the top Cam Blackley type folks who will ultimately be the ones who can hopefully offer jobs to the top students at the end of the course. So
onto what you'll actually need to do. You're going to complete all 10 briefs over 10 weeks. When you come up with ideas, I always tell people, choose your best idea. You'll come up with many. For brief 1, you might have 5 solutions or 10 solutions. You pick that idea, and that's the idea that you submit online as your creative folio. We look at all 10 of those. We judge them. We laugh at them. I always love judging. I don't know, Chris, Jess, you see like really creative stuff, don't you? Stuff that you weren't expecting.
Oh, I love it. I love the judging.
Yeah, that's
a lot of fun.
And then you'll all have a graduation where we invite you, the people that supported you through the course, but also some of the industry leaders and recruiters to come together at an event where we see the best work of the graduation, and there's a little bit of a ceremony, and you get I call it, you get your golden star. Well done, you've completed it if you graduate top of your group. There's been a few legends that's completed the course that did actually do really, really well. It's such a privilege to introduce you to our 2020 alumni. Like, these guys all have a really special place in my heart because they did award school during such an interesting, weird and different time, but the work was so good. So here to talk to you guys is Lizzie. She's a creative at Cummins & Partners. You're also going to hear from Sam. She's a creative at M&C in Sydney. And then also Will, he works at special groups. So over to you guys. I think we're kicking off with Lizzie.
Or even Lily, I think.
Yeah, it happens all
Lily.
the time. It's the Z's and the L's in my name. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm
Not
so
first.
sorry. You can call me Mandy.
Oh, I nearly did. So I'm very happy about that. Catch up there. Thanks very much. I think this is an awesome introduction to the course. Like, for confession, I didn't go through this, and now it was like, wow, this would have prepared me way better than just going in cold turkey. So you guys are like really lucky. So I think some of the tips and tricks for like entering the course is everything the guys have said. I think with your entry, definitely have a lot of fun with it, because I think what the guys mentioned before is that you realize that you're not the smartest person in the room at all. So most of the time it happens very often in shoots. People come up with the same ideas pretty often. So kind of push yourself a bit, have a bit of fun, and definitely don't go with your first idea. I think that's a kind of like an improvement thing. You guys are super lucky. We experienced the online tutorials, which were amazing, because then you just feel like you're like hacking the system and leveling up and watching like every piece of advice you can get. So totally take notes as well. That's what I did. I took some notes, and I look at them all the time, even for my own brief. Like a new brief, I go back and look at my award notes, and I'm like, haha, I've got this little secret little handbook I've created. I think one of the best things you can do in award is speaking to other people. Your tutors are amazing, and they will give you the most awesome advice. But at the end of the day, you also should show as many people as you can. I think it's amazing to get in front of people. It's great for networking. You can call most people up and be like, hey, can you check out my award stuff? And they'll be awesome about it. And I think that, you will get a lot of opinions in award. And I think that's the one thing that I learned a lot of, is to trust, at the end of the day, go with what you love, because you'll get a lot of conflicting things. But I think there's no harm in getting creative bits of brilliance from as many people as you can, because at the end of the day, you'll always learn something, even if you don't go with that idea or you don't pick something, because I think that's, don't take things personally if your ideas get shot down, because they do most of the time, which was a brand new experience of getting rejected very constantly, as someone who craves validation. So that was hard. Did have to kill many children of mine. But at the end of the day, like, I really liked the work that I chose to do. So I think, listen to other people. And also something really cool about, if you guys do online shoots, is make the effort to meet your shoot mates, because crazy enough, like, I now work with like 4 other people like that I did award school with last year. And I think that it's awesome, because especially when you're online, you don't have much face-to-face. So if you can make the effort to just start a group chat, go get drinks, super weird, like it is on Zoom, where you see people for 6 weeks and you realize they're taller than you, even though they look really short on Zoom. So all those like mini things you get to experience. I'm going on a speed run. I think I'm covering my checklist of like things that I wish I knew. Also, you don't need to know if you want to be a copywriter or an art director, because you'll work that out. By the end of the course, you'll get a feel for what you actually enjoy more, even if you can do both. You don't need to be able to draw, but do put in some effort to make your ideas cool, because if you say that this is a hand, it looks like asparaguses, it just doesn't sell it. So like, you want to be able to sell it if you can draw it a certain way, and you can, trace is fine. You don't need any Photoshop. But yeah, put in some effort. And the last thing I have to say is, don't just like get feedback for a week and put your work down, because I know, same, it's terrible. It's the Italian arancini ball hands. Don't just put your work down after you've gotten feedback for the week, because you'll hit week 10, you'll be like, oh my God, I have got so much I need to go back and change. So the best thing I did was, after I collected like maybe 4 briefs each time, I'd get feedback from a lot of different people, and then I'd revamp those 4 briefs. So by the time I got to week 10, I only had like brief 10 to really worry about. So it piles up fast. Give yourself way more time than you think, but it's awesome and it's amazing. So thank you very much.
Oh, Lily, you totally nailed that. Next time I'm in Melbourne, I'm totally going to meet up with you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
No worries. Get on the phone tuning now.
It's just like asparagus hands will stay with us forever. Guys, if you
is it a new name? Asparagus hands?
Asparagus hands,
Asparagus
I think
hands.
that's the new name, right?
If that's my legacy, I'm kind of okay with that.
Guys, you're going to, at the end of the session, there's going to be a question and answer section where you're going to get the opportunity to ask any of these guys some questions. So as things come up whilst they're speaking, please just note them down in the chat and then we'll get through as many of them as we can. I think we're handing over to the wonderful Sam next.
Hey guys, thanks Mandy. So I'm here to chat about how to crack a brief, which is one of those things, if it was like a defined formula that we already knew how to do, then our jobs wouldn't exist. So it's all insanely unique to every single brief and every single person, how you work, how you think, like if you're sort of type A, type B, whatever your vibe is, and just how you can sort of get your thoughts on a page and delivered to someone else in a simple, easy way is always going to be the toughest part, no matter the brief. So my advice of how I found dealing with award school and trying to sort of like nut out what I needed to get across and the interesting or different way that I could try and do that is, first off, you need to sort of really get the brief down. And the easiest way that I found is to nut it down into like one sentence. Like what are they actually asking you? And it really does help that there's the props. So they'll sort of like assist in what the short form ask is. And so what you want to do is you want to sort of like figure out how to really show that in an interesting and different way from everybody else. And so when you're understanding the brief, you got to reread it, read it again, write it out, highlight it, scratch out bits that don't matter, and just really get it down to like the single nut that you need to sort of deliver on. And then sort of like how you start is really different for everybody. So I'm a list maker, so I'm an art director, but surprising for everybody, I don't just go straight into drawing things and stamping things. I make lists. I write down everything, potential insights that I could use, potential directions I could go in. I like to write sort of like, it could be, if it's a brief that doesn't have a medium, like could this go down poster or social media or like an activation, like writing down like all of the things that it could possibly be, so at least you could look at it and you realize you haven't missed anything. And then the other thing I would do is I would just like nut out a lot of human insights. So the more relatable, the better. So if you're trying to sell, what was our last brief? Our first one was guilt-free burgers from Hungry Jack's, and it was the Rebel Whopper, and they wanted it to be guilt-free because it doesn't have any meat in it. So like, how does that relate to me? Because I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, so how will I sort of relate to that? And so you need to be able to figure out an interesting way to get that across to your target market and what they would sort of like subjectively or objectively think when they see that, and will it like really click with them. So what I used to do is I used to write down all my insights, which really helped, and you can do more than one. And also a lot of different ideas can go under all the different insights that you come up with. And I also used to do a lot of research, which I thought helped a lot with my insights. If I could find an interesting statistic that would go with what I was trying to land, that sort of helped me able to like know that it had merit and had research behind it. So I wasn't just coming up with random things out of the blue. Yeah, and I just did like lists and lists and lists, and you just write down everything that can come out of your head, no matter how dumb it is, no matter how crazy it is, no matter how like unrealistic it is. And you just want to go like full throttle, like get the stuff that sucks out of your brain. And then once you sort of like get into a bit of a territory, like, oh, this might work, this might be interesting. Then you can kind of like, you've got your sort of routes that you can go down, and you've got to come up with hundreds of ideas. It sounds tedious or hectic, but to be honest, it's once you kind of get on a roll, you can go for it. but you will get stuck. Everybody does. Everybody gets a roadblock. Everybody gets that moment where they're just like, I've got nothing left in my brain. And that's when you leave. You go, you do something else, you go for a walk, you chat to your mum or your brother or your sister or your friends. You can ask them like what they think about the territory you're talking about. You know, like, what do you think of meat-free things? Like, do you like them? Do you hate them? Why do you think that? And so get some like other perspectives. And also the other thing that really, really helped me was inspiration. And you're going to get a lot of inspiration in the videos and all of the catch-ups that you'll get, which I'm very jealous that you guys get 2 a week. That's going to be amazing. But I did find it insanely helpful that we were able to see the other states' videos each week. That was amazing. But so I would usually troll this website called Deck of Brilliance. I recommend it. It also helps you sort of think about other ways in. So like, do you make this idea black humor? Do you make it emotional? Do you make everyone believe in it somehow or hate it, so therefore it's funny, or, you know, many different angles. And they also have great inspiration in there. And another thing I used to do is I used to troll D&AD or any of the award sites to really sort of see what a great ad looks like and sort of try and pick apart what that actually was, or how they did it, or like how simple their message is at the end, and how it's not you trying to explain an entire paragraph on one poster, unless it's a copy-linking and it's funny, and that will work. Yeah, and then so I guess like when you start getting down to the nuts and bolts, like I would say what helped me is going wide and then really just bringing it into what actually makes sense and what answers the brief. And you do have to go, when you kind of go on a mental tangent somewhere else, you kind of have to come back and be like, does that answer the brief? Will someone that's looking at this that's completely random and has no idea about award school or no idea about the product understand what I'm talking about or what I'm trying to show? And if the answer is a no, then they might need to re-nut it and sort of figure out how, I don't know, your grandma might see it and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe not your grandma, but anyone. But yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things that is, perseverance is key, and they're always going to say this and you're always going to be like, I know, but it really is true. But you do also need to keep your brain and like your thinking tool like healthy and able to do other things as well. So it's kind of not one of those things you can just smash out in a day and you're done. You kind of do a bit, you do your block out of hours and then you have a break and you refresh and like put a notepad next to your bed if you wake up with an idea. It's always going to be bizarre, but funny to read the next morning. And maybe it'll strike a different idea. Like, who knows?
Thanks so much, Sam. That's some seriously good advice. And I remember seeing Sam's portfolio last year. She was one of our absolute top students. And there was just some amazing kind of fresh ideas in there. So if the notepad by your bed is how to do it, then I'd be going out to Officeworks tonight to get one. Our final alumni speaker is a guy I used to work with actually at my last agency. His name's Will Seeley. He wasn't actually on the creative side. He's in account management as an account director. And so he'll have an interesting take on things as well. And he's actually been texting me throughout this saying his phone battery is gradually depleting. So I think he might be here for a good time, not a long time. But over to you, Will.
Yeah, cheers, Jackie. So yeah, hopefully you can hear me all right. I'm in the car. First rule of award school: organisation. Something I haven't done today and charged my phone, so I apologise if I do drop off or miss a Q&A. I'm really sorry. As Jack said, unlike all of the brilliant people that have spoken before me, I work on the other side of the agency. So yeah, I'm an account director, I work in the account management department. And for the 18% of you that may not want to go into the creative department or not sure what you want to do yet, award school is definitely still a worthwhile thing to do. Like if you're thinking about getting in the advertising industry, whether that's in strategy or in creative or in account management, it's definitely a must do. For me personally, it just gave me such a newfound respect for the jobs that the creatives do, the way that they think, the way that they tackle problems, and even the way that, you know, I write briefs now, or the way that I can kind of speak to creatives and start to unpack ideas. It's so helpful for me. I think the biggest thing that I probably underestimated, and my word of advice would be kind of how intense award school is. It is a lot of work, and you have to kind of give yourself to it. I think Lily kind of touched on it. There is a definite snowball effect. Week one, you're going to come in, you get your press ad brief. You've got 7 days, you run at it, you come up with a million different ideas, you present back, you feel good. Week two, you start addressing the feedback on the press ad brief, but you're working on the next brief, and so on and so forth. So it's about kind of maintaining that momentum, keeping your energy, and just staying on top of things and keeping focused. And I think, again, they kind of spoke about talking to people. I think that's the most useful thing you can do when trying to crack briefs, is just go out, pick people's brains. And that's kind of where you get your best insights from, is from those human truths. I found reading about stuff helpful, but for me, it was, just talking to people, going out there, finding that rich human insight, how people think and feel. And then from there, you can start to unpack the brief and get into the creative. That's probably it from me. I'm on 2%.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you, Will. You made it.
Guys.
Try to avoid those mobile phone detection cameras, mate, as you're driving.
Yeah, I know. And account management isn't as bad as it seems. I'll get a slap on the wrist and all the graces and stuff like that.
Oh, guys, the lovely Chris and Jess is going to have a chat to you guys how to apply, because we're really getting towards the pointy end of, now you know what award school is about, now you know how keen we are to see you, but how do you actually apply? What does it take?
All right, so now we're into nuts and bolts. Am I controlling? Yep, I think I am. Here we go. All right, so I mean, this is I guess a bit of admin, really. So the brief will come out on the 11th at 10 a.m. So be at the ready. It'll be at awardonline.com. You got 2 weeks, but what a luxury that is, hey? You got 2 weeks to crack the brief. So that's on the 25th. You got till 5 p.m. on the dot. The good news is there was once a time where you had to run your physical folio down to a particular agency by 5 p.m. But now you can simply just submit it online, which is a lot easier. So you'll have a little bit of extra time to work on it. And you can only apply once in one state to one program.
Okie dokie. So what you'll be asked to do, answer 4 questions. You're going to get a page per question, and submit your answers to our online portal, and you'll have 2 weeks to answer the 4 questions. So a little bit of a hot tip there is treat every question as a brief. It's an opportunity to show your creativity, and there's going to be a lot of applicants. So the more that you can put your own sort of personality and spin on things, that's how you'll stand out.
Yeah, there's a very good point about treating every question as a brief. I believe is question 1 still, why do you want to apply for award school?
Yep. Do
not write because I have an advertising and communications degree and I would like to leverage my skills, and don't. It's a creative brief.
Or like I'm passionate, like I'm assuming you are. So yeah, that one always gets me, right? Yeah. I studied this and I'm passionate. I've always had an idea for an ad. It like you being tested to be creative in how you answer it.
Yeah, it's kind of like show, don't tell. So show us evidence of what you're talking about, rather than, and that's kind of what we have to do with ads as well. This is the first ad you're writing, and your audience is us to get in.
So this is just a bit of an example of what a brief might be and how you might approach it. And it's based off a real life ad. So let's say the brief was, create an ad for Nike's Air Jordan basketball shoes, and the prop is they help you jump higher, which is a very good prop.
Yeah, so look, that's the simplest way of saying it. So our shoes help Michael Jordan jump higher. And as Jess said, what you're going to get, which sometimes differs in an advertising agency, is you'll be told you've got one thing to say. And I think Lily and Sam touched on that as well. And that's really that's how brief should be. So the brief will be brief, and that's the point there. And what we're just going to do is we're just going to deconstruct that. So what you need to ask yourself is, what am I trying to dramatize here? And then think of a great dramatization, which is, in this case.
And this is kind of, you'll hear people use the language first thought.
Mm.
And this is sort of a first thought. And then if you push that thought, so it isn't what you say. Obviously that ad was quite literal, and it said, our shoes help Michael Jordan jump higher, but it's how you say it.
So in this case, there's a really interesting dramatization here where, you can defy gravity with the shoes. And then the expression of that is, Michael Jordan 1, Isaac Newton 0.
And one thing to remember, and I saw a couple of questions in the chat and people saying, what if I can't draw? And I can't draw. There are art directors in this day and age that can't draw. So don't stress about that. It's about the idea, not how it looks. It does need to be clear. So it does need to be presented in a way that we can look at it and get it and understand it, but it does not need to be a piece of fine art. If you can't draw though, tracing's great. Or if you've got a friend who can draw, throw them a slab, get them to draw it for you. We don't really care who draws it because we're just judging the idea. This is how the real life ad looks, but you don't need to present us this. We'll get it from your basic drawing.
Okay, how you need to submit your ideas. So we'll just jump to the next slide. So as Jess was saying, keep it simple. Images, it's black and white, hand-drawn, can be traced. We won't accept computer-generated images, but we're just after a level playing field for everybody because we're just judging the ideas. That said, type text over a scanned drawing is perfectly acceptable. All files must be saved as a JPEG. Save your files as question1, question2.jpg, etc., etc. Don't include your name because we want to blind judge this. That's really important. And then applications will only be accepted via the online portal, which is an advantage, as Jess said earlier. Here's a couple of ads we've seen in previous years for exactly the same brief. So you can see how, obviously one's image-based, one's copy-based, pretty easy to understand. And just when you're doing your ads, just remember to come back to the proposition and try and strip away everything that you can to kind of end up with a piece of communication that is communicating one thing and one thing only. And that's what we'll be judging it on. And, as some of the guys said, like show it, maybe not your mum because she will tell you it's good, but maybe your mum, your brother, someone who's not in your family, and just say, what is this saying to you? Not literally if it's a headline, but what are you sort of taking out of it? What's the takeaway? And if that's close to or verbatim what the brief is, and that's how you should assess all your ideas when you're coming up with them. Keep coming back to that proposition. Is it saying this? Is it saying that? Because that's what we'll be looking. It's what the judges will be looking to when they look at the work.
In the comments, Cosimo has just said less is more, and you absolutely bang on. The reason these two ideas stand out is when you think, especially when we're judging entry books, there might be hundreds of books we've got to look through, and we can't spend ages trying to figure the ad out. We need to look at it and get it as soon as we look at it, and that's why these two are good, because they're really simple. They might have started out with more elements or a more complicated execution, but the people stripped them back. They pulled out elements and we're just left with a simple line, a simple image and a pack shot. And now I'll pass over to the exciting bit. What happens if you get in?
So, like a little bit of a jig, a little bit of a dance, because not everyone gets in, right? That's absolutely true. It's one of the things that I think makes award school special in many ways. It's not only the quality of the course, but it's the quality of the applicants that we get. And I'm sure that there's a few of you that's on this that's tried to get into award school more than once. It's really interesting how often our top students are the guys like you that keeps on coming back and do it more than once. Just a few bits to tell you guys. Yes, I think you're going to see my GIF now. I was doing the real life GIF, but I guess it's great to. I feel like I really nailed it, right? Once you get in, we're going to ask you to pay for the course. You'll be notified. The cost of the course, I think, is running at, I don't want to get this wrong, so just give me section 2,200, and you will be notified on 5 p.m. on the 5th of March. Now, guys, please don't harass poor Simone or Rebecca or whoever the person of award school is in your place. They will let you know at the same time as everyone else, and then secure that placement, because it is quite nice to get in. Please do pay those fees ASAP so that you can get going. Your person and the lovely person that's been helping us run this is Rebecca White. If you're unsure about anything, I think she's a very brave woman for giving out her email address and her phone number, but she's lovely and very accessible. So if you've got any questions and if you feel like you still don't understand anything, she's there to help and to answer those questions, which kind of takes us to Q&A. I've seen a lot of questions pop up in the chat. And maybe we just start at the top. Jack, you're always so good at doing this, like looking through the questions and passing the baton as to who should answer it.
I'm a stickler for rules, so I'm going to go through the people that use the correct Q&A tab, not the chat. So let's go through the first Q&A questions here first. And the first one says they've just finished a Bachelor of Fine Arts, a minor in graphic design. What creative careers are possible for someone like me in advertising? And Jess, you might be able to speak to that.
Well, look, it's an interesting one, because a creative department or getting into the creative side of advertising isn't the same as other jobs where there's a particular one piece of paper that you sort of need, and it matters what uni that you went to. And look, other people might have a different response, but you know, when I'm hiring, to be perfectly honest, I don't overly care too much where you went to school and what you did. I just want to look at the work. I just want to see your ideas, and I want to, it's your personality and your ideas and the way that you think. If you've got a Bachelor of Fine Arts and a minor in graphic design, however, it feels like there's probably a lean to an art director. And if you've learned some design basics and you can use Adobe and you're good on the tools, and those skills are certainly valuable if you want to be an art director. So I don't know the rest about your situation and your story, but if that's your lean, you haven't wasted time getting those degrees. They'll certainly help you. But first and foremost, I think it's ideas and personality are sort of number one. And then, yeah, if you've got really good design skills, that's only going to help you further on that side of the spectrum.
There's a bunch of questions around, can we use an iPad, an Apple Pencil? Does it all have to be hand-drawn, or can we use some sort of iPad to use it, that kind of thing? Yes, you can. We're not trying to, preclude tech from being part of it, but basically we are saying that it's not about comping up layouts and things. It's the idea, as Jess just said then, that's the focus. So don't get hung up on those things. Just focus entirely on the idea. Another question, is around how much of the course will be online and how much it will be in person. Mundy?
So guys, if the world remains like it is right now, you will be doing your in-person session in agencies unless you decide to do the online course. And you do spend a lot of time in that agency debating ideas and thrashing it out. Then in terms of the lectures, what we're going to do is, depending on the state, you'll be notified of specific lectures that we'd love for you to attend in person. I think each state has got about definitely between Melbourne and Sydney on different dates, 3 in-person lectures where we're going to network, and then throughout the course we're also going to try and create spaces where we can all sit together and watch the Monday night lecture together if the world remains in a good place and we all don't have to be separate and restrictions on how many people can be in a room. Our intention is really to come together as people in 3D as much as possible, but it's also a great format to keep some of the course online because it just gives you guys exposure to more talent across Australia and across the world, really, in terms of brains that you can pick and people you can ask questions.
And whenever there's a kind of an in-person Monday night lecture, keep your diary free for a couple hours after the lecture, because we'll hopefully be able to go to a nearby pub afterwards and have a drink together and get to know each other as well. So
I'm very good at drinking beer. Very good.
One of your hidden talents, or not so good. Another question is from Taylor, who's asking about if they don't have a portfolio to submit your application. So just to be clear, your application is sort of these 4 questions that were talked about. So you don't need a portfolio of sorts, but to apply, you have to answer all 4 questions or you'll be at a serious disadvantage. A question from Elliot, this one's for you, Chris. Are all briefs being answered for some sort of print ad, or is the medium varying for each individual brief?
Every week is a different medium, with the exception of integrated, which is, by definition, different types of media. So look, there's just about every kind of type of ad is in there. We start off with the basics. So the simplest form of an ad is a poster. So you'll start off with that and it'll just be a singular execution. And then we kind of move through into the more, more challenging and different shapes and types of media as we go through. So once you kind of learn the basics of how to nail an idea, then you'll be asked to kind of push that through into the different media. But there's a great smorgasbord, and you'll end up with a folio that's got a really wide range of different types of thinking that will kind of raise the eyebrows of ECDs if you want to kind of get a job in a creative department.
We love a good smorgasbord around here. A question from Lily around, if you haven't finished your bachelor's degree, can you still apply? Yep. You don't need any sort of prior prerequisite, anything like that. It's come as you are, answer those 4 questions, and that's all you need to do. Focus on the ideas. A question around answering the briefs in black and white. Yes, don't use color, in black and white. If an idea really relies on color, just draw a little annotation and be like, the background of this would be red, and then we'll kind of be able to get the idea from that clear enough. Someone's asking how many hours you commit each week, Mundy.
Oh, how long is a piece of string? I would say just the reality of, if you think you're going to have 2 lectures to watch, you need an hour and a half to watch both of those. Then you would also definitely spend, when you go in person or whether you call in on a Zoom, your tutors will spend at least 2 hours with you. I've not heard of many that runs for shorter than that. And then It's weird because once you've started to think with an idea, sometimes they come really fast and you go like, I've nailed it, right? And then you're just going, how do I make it better? But sometimes it's a little bit harder and it might take you a little bit better. It might be a little bit better to spend a little bit more time. I would say for the 12 weeks that you are going to do it, most definitely will be your sole focus in terms of what you would be doing. But it's not so overwhelming that you can't be doing a full-time job and still manage the amount of work after hours. And we definitely try and pace it so that you have a time towards the end of the course just to pull that book together, and that you've got access to people to help you through. But it's not something that you can leave till the end. I would say every week, I suspect if you get around, you should be able to give 4 to 6 hours in a week over the week to award school for at least 6 hours, or for at least 12 weeks.
Okay, I've just realised that I'm doing a terrible job as MC of Q&A because we've got 65 questions to go. So I'm going to put a 20-second cap on the answers here from here on in. The next one, actually, Beck and Simon, you might be able to help us here. Someone's asking if there's financing options available for the course fees.
Yes, sorry, I'm here, Simon. There are no financing options available, but yeah, we give you as much notice as we can to make the payment. Yeah, and we'll have a good chat with you and be helpful as much as we can. But yeah, it's just by credit card or debit card, and we'll send you the links once you're accepted.
We also do have an Indigenous
Scholarship.
An Indigenous Scholarship program. So if that applies to you, just go and check it out on our website.
Yeah, and someone also mentioned tax deductible. So you'd have to speak to your accountant, but it is education, so have a chat to your accountant.
A question, are there people who didn't get in at first but got in on later tries? Loads. It's really common. Like every year we get people who have tried in years past. Sometimes we get people who did it the year before and want to do it again because they want another stab at it. It's pretty common. So I would just say, just answer that application, answer those 4 questions and see how you go. Jess, how different is the online version of Award School from the in-person version?
It's effectively the same course, but online. I guess you're still getting access to top senior creatives. You're still getting feedback on your work. You're still getting all of that exposure. I guess you're just not in an agency in person, and maybe unable to, catch up afterwards for a beer. So maybe there needs to be a little bit of proactivity from yourselves if you are stuck online in how you guys can catch up. I know people started, WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups and ways of sort of socializing online. But the bare bones of the course is effectively the same, and you come out of it having done award school just like anyone else would have.
Yeah, it's the guys that spoke tonight, the last year's students, are testament that it's a great course and it's led to some great opportunities for their career. Can people apply from outside of Australia? Yes, you can. So this year's great because we're actually open to those who want to do the course in New Zealand as well as parts of Asia as well. And there's a follow-up question, Simon, you can help us with this one. How many places will there be for New Zealand applicants and online applicants?
Oh, look, we're really excited to have as many people apply for award school as possible, and we just can't wait to see all the applications come through. And depending on the sort of the volume and the shoot groups that we secure will depend on how many applicants we move forward with. But we're really excited. We saw a huge influx of New Zealand and Southeast Asia people joining us tonight. So yeah, we can't wait to have your applications submitted and hope to accept as many as possible.
A question about should the application or submission be an A4 doc in JPEG? All those sorts of details, go to our website at awardonline.com and there's all the kind of nitty-gritty bits in there. Another question, Mundy, around is it possible to hold down a 50-hour week job and concurrently do award school?
Yes.
Yeah,
The shortest answer you'll ever get from me, yes.
When I did award school, I had a full-time job and I was getting married. It was ridiculous, but I somehow managed it. So you can do it. If you want it, you can do it.
And I will just also say the likes of Simone and Rebecca, they are kind of like your emotional Sherpas through that. So a lot of people, when they feel like overwhelmed, they reach out to them. And then we make a plan between myself, Jess, or Jack, just to link in with you and find, okay, how can we chat through the problems? So don't it is a lot of work, but I think you can do it.
Question from Charles around if award school sets you up just for the ad industry, or does it help you build skills and connections in other industries and countries? A massive yes to the connections in other industries and countries and things. These skills are creativity is transferable to everything in life, really. As we mentioned at the top, part of the course this year is even looking into commercial creativity beyond just advertising, through an entrepreneurial lens. So we're excited for you guys to be able to be exposed to that too. A question around needing a uni degree. No, you don't. You can just answer the application and that's all you need to do. Is 28 too old to start a career as a creative, Jess?
No. I was late. I was late to the game. I think I might have been 28. Actually,
I was too. I was a bit of a late bloomer. People tend to fall into advertising, so that's fine.
A question, maybe let's go to Sam, one of our alumni from last year. There's a question on kind of how long lectures and tutorials typically go for. Do you just want to talk through your experience on kind of what the Monday night and then the Thursday night was all about?
Yeah, no problem. I can't make my video work, but
yeah.
Sorry. So Monday night was the lecture, and because I was the COVID edition, the first COVID edition. Our lecture was online, so you were able to sort of like tune in. Some of my tutorials with my tute group, we'd watch it together. We'd like Zoom each other and then watch it together so we could chat through it. But so you'll sort of get maybe like, some of them went quite long and some of them were quite snappy. Really just depends. So you kind of take your time through them, or you brush through them easily, or eat the other ones up as well that were from Melbourne or wherever else. And then for the actual lectures, it really kind of depended how they were run per group. So you run through your ideas, what you think might work, and then you'll kind of get feedback from your tutes, what's working, what's not working, like drop that's silly, and you also might come up with similar ideas to your other teammates, or not, the other people in your tute group, which is really good because you can see how other people think, and if that was their first thought and your first thought, then you kind of know that if two of you got it, then probably more people have it too. So it kind of really helps filter out, but it does take, I think, maybe about 3 hours. I would give yourself 3 hours, and also write down your feedback, because that's stuff, because like you finish late at night, and when I say late at night, I say like 9. And you kind of brain dead by then, so you kind of want to like revisit your feedback the next day.
Cool. A lot of questions around age limits. No, none at all. This course is open to anyone and everyone. And then there's a couple of questions along the lines of, if you do award school, will it help you with your ability to pitch ideas to different people, or will it help you be job ready? That's absolutely what the course is about. It's learning all these other skills. So the focus is on the idea, and it's the idea, and it's nothing but the idea. But in the same breath, you just naturally will get exposed to tutors who will help you shape ideas and kind of talk to you about how to present and pitch, and you kind of garner all the skills you'll need to, if you're lucky, by the end of the course, be able to walk into an agency creative department and start doing it for realsies, which is pretty cool. Looking for some other questions. Lily, are there any advertising or kind of marketing theory and fundamental books that you recommend, or any resources? You mentioned one earlier from memory.
Books. I really wish I was that cultured. Thank you, Jack. I think
That's
Sam
a tough
brought
one, by the way.
up. I think Sam mentioned the Deck of Brilliance before. That is amazing. I use that all the time. I think it's awesome to get your knowledge going. I think I don't think I actually have any books to share. I'm really sorry.
Oh,
I read,
that's
sorry.
okay.
I read Dave
Sam,
Trott's book, which was really quite easy and really quick.
Oh.
That was good.
The award school did provide us with a copy of Mr. Squiggle or something. I'm super sorry. That's probably like a sacrilege to not know the name of that absolute staple of a book. I take that back. That was the best book I read. I read that whole book and I took notes and highlights religiously from it. And I have them all in a PowerPoint that I go through to prompt me for my creative thinking sometime. So award school did provide us with that book and it was amazing. So I take it back. I am cultured. I do read books.
There's a bunch of questions around sort of the finance side of it, scholarship support, payments. Guys, with all those, I might direct you to the email address that was on screen before, or if you go to Award Online, there's further details there. For specific circumstances and things like that, speak directly to Simon and Beck and they'll be able to sort of help you on that front. There's another question around, referencing that Cam mentioned he'd hired a student who came 47th. Are all 200 students ranked at the end? You're not. The top 10 from each state is ranked, and then we also do a national kind of winner and runner-up and bronze medal type thing. But I think that was Cam using some creative license there to make his point that ultimately, do your best to try and make that top 10 because you're probably pretty likely to get hired on the back of that, at least in past years. But in saying that, if you've got some cracking ideas in there, you'll still get noticed by guys like Cam, which is great. Just looking through the plethora of questions here. A lot of these we've sort of covered, like international students can apply in New Zealand and Asia. A question around why do you want to do award school? The first response, it's an ad. Yes, it's an ad for yourself. So I would push it and try and really go as laterally as you can in terms of, finding a way to capture a judge's attention as they're looking through portfolios that separates you from the pack. And that actually links to another question, which is who judges these applications? And we've actually arranged for 31, I believe, of the industry's, some of the top creatives, all sort of creative director level or higher, who are going to be doing these as blind judging online, where they'll be looking through books and we'll score different books, and we'll kind of, by the end of it, be able to work out who's in for the course. So it's kind of, it's a really fair process, and we try and be, we take that side of it really seriously to try and make sure that there's no bias or anything, and we really just want the best thinkers and the best ideas. There's a question around the relations with your tutors, and is it the same tutor for the entire 12 weeks, Lily, or do you want to talk to the different swap over period that you get?
Yeah, so you do confirm to get a total of 4 legends that you get to know pretty well. You get two tutors for 6 weeks and 2 tutors for another 6 weeks. So you switch over a halfway point. You get 1 to 5 and then 5 to 10 with another set of tutors. So it's great because then you get 2 sets of feedback. So usually it's a creative partner or 2 people from the same agency. And each week you'll obviously present your briefs to them. And then when you switch to another set of tutors, you do your following briefs with them. And at the end, you can show both sets of briefs to your tutors. So you get like 4 rounds of feedback. So you'll get to meet 4 creatives, essentially. And we have a group chat to get beers. So you make friends too.
Hopefully. There's a couple of questions along the same lines of if you're more of a copywriter, is that at a disadvantage if you're going to submit, responses that are copy focused? No, not at all. I'd say, most students tend to tend to use visual ideas like the Michael Jordan example and stuff, which is definitely more of a visually led thing, although the headline is definitely part of the idea there as well. But if you want to just write kind of long copy responses and things, or amazing headlines, then you can absolutely do that. It's totally valid, but it's quite a tricky skill to do. So good luck. A question around, sorry, we've answered who's judging them. The start date for the course, I believe it was March something or other, Monday, or
the 22nd of March.
Cool. And 100 spots in around 100 spots in New South Wales, and was it 60 in Victoria?
About 60, yeah, 60 in Victoria. Yep, there's about 20 in 15, or around 15 in Queensland, around 15 in Perth, and around 10 or so in Adelaide. And then online, we're just yet to confirm, because it's the first time we've ever run a online course across the whole country and New Zealand and Southeast Asia.
And guys, the thing with award school is we really do try and keep your groups to 5 to 6. Maybe in some instances we've had 7 creatives in a group, just so that you can get that one-on-one, attention. So that's why we actually ask you to answer those 4 questions, so that we make sure that the people with the aptitude really get into the course and get that one-on-one attention. And I think I've seen a question, if you're currently studying creative advertising at RMIT, would we recommend that you do this? Go like, yes, definitely, because it is vastly different from that, just in our format. And also your access to a little bit more hands-on skills and access to people in the industry. That said, always when someone comes from RMIT, very interesting thinkers, and I have a lot of respect for that institution. The Do Award School as well, if you really want to get into advertising, it's a nice shortcut.
Guys, I think what we're going to do, because there are 81 remaining questions, and then
99 chats, and I don't know.
Plus chats, so we might be here for a while. Or I think what we'll do is we'll answer some common themes and some of these questions specifically on our Instagram page. Is that right, Mundy?
Yeah. Beck, do you mind just throwing up that slide just so that everyone can see the handle? We'll be bucketing a lot of the answers, so do follow us. And I mean, it's unashamedly me going like, do follow us. We just started it this year, so if you follow us, then we can answer more of those questions for you guys. I think it's 2 down, Beck. Yep. No? Up, down? Let me just quickly see. We
will pop it into the Q&A. We'll make sure, we're just having a slight tech issue, but we will drop it into the chat box so that you guys have it there. So just give us 2 seconds and we'll just drop it in there and you can grab it. So
it's a pretty easy one. It's award school. So if you type that in on Instagram, you should see us. And we'll bucket these together, and you'll also get just a prompt if you follow us to submit, or just a little bit of a nudge that we're about to announce people that got in. But for myself, Jack, Jess, Chris, Simone, Rebecca, Sam, Lillian, all of the people that's made tonight possible. Thank you so much for your time and for your interest. I can't wait to meet the guys and girls that get into award school in 2021. It's going to be an awesome year, and I'm really excited about the ideas that's coming our way in judging your portfolios. So best of luck, right? Now it's the awkward time. Is this it? Is this we say goodbye? I hope it's not goodbye forever.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Thank you, guys. Bye.